press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, we are in the last part of your lesson, our constitution, that is Directive Principles of State Policy, and we are going to study this in detail. There are 14 of them mentioned, and each one, just like we learned the fundamental rights and the fundamental duties that we have, we are also going to study Directive Principles of State Policy. Now, before I get into what they are, I want you to know these are called as principles, as in to say these are guidelines that have been given. Like now, if you have seen your school calendar or diary, whatever it is called, don't you see some rules that have been mentioned? You have to be in school at this time, you have to wear your full uniform, okay, and so many Monday to Saturday working hours. Have you not seen this rules written down? Similarly, rules have also been written down, some guidelines, some ideas, some thoughts have been written down in something called as Directive Principles of State Policy, okay. There are directions and guidelines for the state to run and state to administer under a certain policy. Alright, we will just see what these do. The aim of the Directive Principles of State Policy is to establish a welfare state. Establish a welfare state. That is a state which has a lot of progress, which is equal in all its terms, and which keeps developing as and when required. Alright, have a welfare for the well-being of the state, for the welfare of the state, for everything that has to do with things that are good and things that are nice in the country, as well as for the development of the country. Alright. Now, these principles of state policy are under the Constitution, okay, under the fourth part from 36 to 51 article, okay, article 36 to 51 in the fourth part of the Constitution. This Directive Principles of State Policy, it's also called as DPSP, okay, Directive Principles of State Policy. In which part? It's in the fourth part. Article 36 to 51 mentions something, and these guidelines of the Directive Principles are under those articles. Now, these are guidelines, okay, guidelines to whom? Guidelines to the state, that is country, okay, they are guidelines to the state. Now, this whoever had framed it, that is the framers of the Constitution, why did they, from where did they borrow it, from where were they inspired in order to take this? Was from the Irish Constitution. Irish Constitution. Okay. All these people who were under the framing for the Constitution were inspired from the Irish Constitution, and these directive principles have been laid according to that inspiration they took from the Irish Constitution. Alright. Now, these are directions, guidelines to whom? To both the state, okay, state as well as the central government. These are guidelines to both the state and the central government. All right. Now, the government tries to give you social, political, okay, social, political and economic justice. And that is why the guidelines that we are going to study have been framed or have been taken and have been inspired in such a way that it looks after the social, political and economic justice of whom? Of its citizens. Alright, I hope you are getting this much. Next, these are based on ethics, okay, or morals or values. Okay, there are certain values that have to be followed, there are certain morals, some disciplinary form has to be implemented, and that is based on ethics. All these principles are based on certain ethics. Now, if the state or the central government doesn't implement this, they cannot be taken to the court of law. Okay, they cannot be questioned, both the state and the central, if they don't implement okay, they can't be questioned in the court of law. Okay. Now, these guidelines are laid down, these guidelines are put down, but it is up to the state and the central government. If they wish to implement it, it's well and good. If they don't, they cannot be questioned at any time. But they have to keep in mind when they frame any laws, frame anything that is necessary for the state. All right. Now, these are based on socialist and liberal principles. Okay, socialist and liberal, welfare of the society and in giving freedom. Okay, various sectors of the society come as one, and that needs you cannot have a stringent action, you cannot have a strict action. You need to have liberty, you need to have a little bit of freedom, and that's how the country will function better. Now, these are based on Gandhian principles, okay? Gandhian ideas. That is, being socialist or liberal is based on Gandhian ideas. All right? Now, okay. Now, any party who comes to rule has to keep this in mind, keep these principles in mind. Okay? Any party who comes to rule has to keep these principles in mind, and they have to follow it. Now, this was an introduction to the directive principles of state policy. I hope you got this one. Now, we will go one by one. Let's see what are the 14 directive principles that have been laid down. Alright, the first one, to provide adequate means of livelihood to its citizens. Okay, adequate means of livelihood to its citizens, that as in to say proper facilities, okay, enough, adequate is enough, enough number of facilities so that all the citizens can have a proper living, a proper livelihood, they can live decently in the country that they are staying. Let's see the next one. They have to provide community wealth okay, it's not provide, it's prevent, they must prevent community wealth or resources from becoming private property of any person. Alright, private property. Whatever is there as a community, whatever is there as a whole of the state, whatever resources the state possesses, they should prevent that from becoming any private property of any person, or single-handedly somebody owning all of these resources. The state should not allow that resources or those facilities or any wealth that is there to become their private property. The next third one is they have to provide equal pay for work done by both men and women, okay, and must also protect the labor welfare. They must give equal pay for whatever amount of work both men and women have done, okay, and they should also protect the labor welfare. That is, they must give certain rights to the people under the labor. They should have some labor laws, and they should look after the welfare of all the citizens who work, and so that they also get equal pay on correct basis for both men and women. Alright, next is fourth one. They must provide public assistance public assistance to old, who are sick and weak or helpless people in the society. Okay, they must give assistance, they must help people who are old, who are sick, who are weak and helpless, who cannot afford to have a living of their own, who cannot afford to live on whatever they are earning, and they don't have a life that can satisfy all their needs, that is especially the basic needs, okay, food, water and shelter and clothing. The next one, they must to implement uniform civil code. Okay, uniform civil code throughout the country. That means there will be only one law. The entire country should run only through one law, and there will be no reasons for anybody to make certain laws according to their whims and fancies. Everything is under one, it is uniform, everybody has the same kind of rule to follow, and that has to be, that is uniform civil code, that must be implemented. Let's see the sixth one. They must provide, okay, opportunities they must provide opportunities for the development of health, okay, health and preschool education, to all children, okay, below 6 years. What they must do? They must give opportunity for the development of health sector and also preschool education, okay, that is before 6 years, your Montessori, LKG, UKG, Anganawadi, whatever it is there, okay, preschool education for children below 6 years. They must promote and provide these facilities, okay, these basic facilities to all its citizens. They must protect the historical monuments and maintain places of historical interest. Alright, they must protect historical monuments whichever are existing now, and they must also maintain those places that are going to be of historical interest. If there is anything to be found out historically, if there is anything that depicts the tradition and culture of the country, that must be preserved and protected for the future generations to come and for other people to understand about what we have and what we had. Alright. Eighth one, they must separate executive from judiciary. That is to say, the executive can't be interfering with whatever the judiciary has to do. Alright, they should be separately functioning on their own. Ninth one, they must protect international peace and respect international law. Okay, international peace, we must have good connections with other countries, we must protect our rights there, we must also protect their rights with us, and we must respect whatever international laws are there within what we have framed for others and what others have framed for us. Okay, so that's how you make good friendships and you can deal with whatever the other countries have to do. Let's see the 10th one. You have to establish Gram Panchayats. Okay, this is the local governance that has to be done at the local level. Local governance, Gram Panchayats, usually in villages, okay, you must do this at the local level, and governance should also happen at the local level, and that's how people can get connected to a larger sector. They must encourage rural as well as cottage industries. There are small industries that are there and who are mostly into handicrafts, making pots, okay. Very small industries, not at a large sector, that should be promoted in order to preserve what they are doing. That may have been passed on from one generation to the other, and that is how I think that they have preserved it. And if it is not protected for a longer time, that will just go away, it will go extinct, and it will not be possible to have those kinds of art or articrafts, whatever other, in the coming years. So these rural and the cottage industries must be protected so that it can be of profit, it can be of benefit to the country. The 12th one, they must organize, okay, and develop agriculture plus animal husbandry okay. They must develop and organize agriculture and animal husbandry. Agriculture, you must protect it because that's how most of the India's economy is based on, okay. We will have to protect our farmers, we will have to make some certain policies so that our agriculture sector grows. What is animal husbandry? Animal husbandry is also a part of agriculture where you rear animals for eggs, for milk, okay, for meat, for many other things you rear animals. It's also a part of agriculture, it's called as animal husbandry, where you rear animals for various other purposes that you have. Basic are meat, milk, eggs, okay. These purposes you rear these animals. Next, they should ensure there is prohibition of liquor, okay, alcohol. They must prohibit, they should not distribute liquor to anybody, they should not be creating lot of problems when the consumption is high. So there should be a prohibition in the consumption and the selling of liquor that is there. The last one, they must ensure there is development of farming based on scientific methods. Now, development should be done in the sector of agriculture, farming, and they should be made available to use the modern scientific methods that are there and increase their production so that it will be easier for the farmers as well, so that they don't slog more in the fields, and also in return a profit to the country. Okay, scientific methods should be introduced to the farmers, and that's how they have to develop the agriculture sector that is there. Now, these are the 14 directive principles of state policy. Next, now I told you their aim was to do social welfare, okay. Now if these fundamental rights, let me write it down, if these fundamental rights are related to an individual, that is to one person alone, okay, these directive principles of state policy are to the whole community. If your fundamental rights are for one person, the directive principles of state policy are for the whole community to practice as being together. Not alone maybe, but all of you getting together and following it. Alright? Now, the state and the central government, whenever they are making any laws, they have to keep in mind so that they can implement these directive principles, and these directive principles also will help in the overall development of an individual as well as the community as a whole. Now, when all this happens, there is welfare of the state, there is welfare of people, everybody is contributing in order to make the nation better. So, all this contributes in all the 14 directive principles that have been noted or listed down. Now, with this we have finished the lesson, our constitution. If there is anything that you have not understood, please note it down when you are listening to the class, and when you get a chance to ask, you may ask so, or put it in the comment section. If you have not understood, I will try to answer what you have not understood. What I want you to do is, again, now read the lesson as we have finished it, brush it up over again. Then when notes is given, you can go up to the notes. Before that, please read your textbooks, especially for your test, and that's how it will help you score well and as well as remember better. Making your own points is very necessary. Okay, whatever you have understood and how you have understood it is more important than what I have written it down here. This may be, I have not written the whole statement. You see, I don't write it. I write it in bits and bits so that I pick up only the main words. But how you understand, if I don't write, I still tell it to you, isn't it? So whatever you're understanding out of my speech or my writing there, please note it down as points, and that's how you make your points and you understand better what's there in each of the lessons that is being taught to you. Now with this I wind up the lesson, our constitution. We shall see next which chapter we are going to get into, but get prepared until we begin the next chapter. Read every day, and that's the only thing you can finish up your studies and not pile it up for the coming days. So thank you students for listening. We shall meet soon in the coming classes. Thank you.